2.7, Graphing Inequalities. This should be significantly easier than greatest integer and piecewise functions. So this should be the easy part for you. All you really need to know for graphing inequalities is that if you know how to graph y equals mx plus b, which we know how to do, we plot b on the y-axis and we count m, the slope, to get more points of our graph. The other form we use for graphing is we use ax plus by equals c, the standard form, where we get the x and the y intercepts to graph, where we cover up, solve, get the 2 points. Another useful thing from this form we remember is that m is equal to the opposite of a over b. That might be useful to have the slope, okay, with one of the intercepts. Then you could count slope if you wanted to. Last thing we need to remember is that anytime you're dealing with inequalities, if you're going to divide or multiply by a negative, you got to flip that sign. Alright, so for graphing inequalities, you graph them very similar to how you do lines. So pretend this is an equal sign. So you would graph 2x plus 4, you would go up 4, and then we'll count the slope. So we're going to go up 2 to the right one, or down 2 to the left one. And when we use this form, we make lots of dots, cover the whole piece of graph paper. Now normally we would just draw the line, move to the next problem, but these are inequalities now. And this is saying that these numbers are greater than these numbers. Well, if it's greater than, all of these answers right here wouldn't work because they would be equal to. So we're going to make a dotted line instead of a solid line because they're not equal to. So at this point, we've graphed nothing. There are no points showing right now that work. So we have to decide if the points on this side of the line work or if the points on this side of the line work. And you can do this a couple different ways. I know in grade school they made you use a test point. So you can use this method if you want to, and I'll show you another one. Now, most of the time, your test point will be 0, 0, because that's really easy to plug in. The only time you can't use 0, 0 is if the line's going right through it. Then you'll have to pick a different point on either side of the line. So we're going to plug x equals 0 and y equals 0 into this equation. So we would get 0 is greater than 2 times 0 plus 4. Well, 2 times 0 is 0, so 0 is greater than 4. That's a false statement. So this point is not an answer. So that means none of the points on that side of the line are the answers. And all of the points on the other side of the line are the answers. So all of these points out here will work and make this statement come out true if you plug them in. Okay, so number 2. 1/2 x minus 3. So we go down 3 and get our starting point and count up 1 to the right 2. Up 1 to the right 2. Go ahead and cover the whole graph paper. Now since this one says equal to, all of these will work. So we want to make a solid line. So the solid line and the dotted line are very similar to the open circles and closed circles that we were using on our piecewise graphs. Alright, now we have to decide which side of this to color or to shade. So again, you could pick a point if you want to. So if you want to put 0, 0 in, you can. You'll get 0 is less than or equal to 0 minus 3. Is 0 less than or equal to negative 3? No. So graph the other side. Shade that up. Now you can do it that way if you want to. Here's the way that I do it. I like to walk on my lines. So I would say draw a stick figure so that you're walking on the line. Okay? So draw a stick figure so that you're walking on the line. Now you cannot draw your figure like this because see, he would fall off. So we can't do this. We got to erase him. Okay? Now, if you look at your stick figure, you want to think shade greater than the man. So the Y is the word shade, and the X is the word man. So that way you can keep it organized. So shade bigger than this man. So that's going to be above his head, all out here. Okay? If you do it over here, shade less than or equal to the man. So we shaded below his feet. Now this will work every time as long as you can walk on the line. Okay? Now we have to look at some that are in standard form. Okay, so I like to do it the fastest way possible, so I'm going to say the x-intercept is 3, so I cover this up. The y-intercept is 2, because I cover this up and solve. So x is 3, y is 2. Is this a dotted line or a solid line? Well, you look right here. Since there's no equal to sign, we're going to make this dotted. Okay, try and make them as straight as possible. Put arrows on the end. Now, this standing the man on the line thing only works if its y is greater than mx plus b. Okay, so you got to use the word shade for the y, and the man has to be the x. Well, we can see here that this would be the man plus the shade is greater than 6. So you see, you can't really do it in this problem because they need to be on opposite sides. But if you think through this, you'll be able to do it anyway. So we're going to stand this man here. Okay? So when they're in standard form, what I have to think is, what would happen if I get y alone? Okay, so if I wanted to get this y by itself, I'd move the 2x over to this side, and then I'd have to divide by positive 3, correct? So I just circle this. This is what I'm going to divide by. Is that dividing by a positive 3 going to change that sign? No. So I'm going to shade greater than, because I'm not going to flip that sign. So I'm going to shade out here. Now you can always pick a point if you want to and do it that way. Okay? Number 4, the x-intercept is -2 because I cover this up. The y-intercept is, cover this up, +4. Okay, so x is -2 and y is +4. It's a solid line because we have the equal to sign. Now I'm going to stand on it. Okay, now we have to think, because it's in standard form. Will you be flipping the sign? Will you be dividing by a negative? So we have to flip our sign. So we want to shade less than the man. So that'll be below his feet. So all of these will work for answers. So do it one of two ways. Think about the man standing on the line, or plug a point in. Whichever method you want to use is fine. You can also use this with absolute value problems. Now remember, absolute value problems graph as V's. So this means we want to go down 3 and to the left 2, and we're going to count 1. Down 3, left 2. And it's right side up because there's a positive here. So we're going to go up 1, over 1. Is it solid or dotted? Well, we look right here again. It's going to be dotted. So nothing works so far that I have graphed. So I got to shade again. Now we have to stand. Okay? I like to say that we should always stand on the vertex. So on your starting point, if you just stand there, that'll make it easiest. Okay? It's y equals, so we can use our rule. Shade less than the man. So I have to go below his feet. So that's actually going to be all of this stuff on the outside of the V. Okay? So below his feet would be the outside of the V. Okay? Don't let it confuse you that this shading's above his head, because it's either going to be inside the V or outside the V that you're going to think about. All right, try this one last one here. We're going to go up to the right one. We're going to be upside down because it's negative, and we're going to count 1 over 2. And we're going to make that solid because it's got the equal to sign. Now we've got to stand. Where did I tell you to stand? On the starting point or the vertex. So we're going to stand right here. So he's standing outside. It's y equals, so it's shade less than the man. So below his feet. So that would actually make a shade inside the picture. Okay, I want you to do the worksheet. Okay, so there's Graphing Inequalities worksheet. We want to have that due tomorrow. Okay, so finish it before class. This shouldn't take too long, okay, and we don't normally have homework at home, but I want you to finish that before class and ask questions when you don't understand. Your test is going to be tomorrow, so you're going to have to make sure, or the day after tomorrow, so tomorrow's our review day, so we need to be asking questions about anything in the chapter that we're not understanding.